Hello, Dan is here.
Gerard, what's up?
Dan, how are you doing, man? Super happy. We are I'm just connecting with Facebook because it's just been disconnected somehow. Super happy to have you in the room. There's a lot of people waiting. We have a few in the Facebook group and also in Zoom. Super excited to talk to you, man. I love.
Cool, man. I'm excited. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you as well. Let me just connect with growth marketing and outbound from Facebook, which is Zoom is amazing, but sometimes does magic. What tool do you use to do webinars?
I use Zoom as well. Yeah, we go live in Facebook groups, and yeah, it works out great. I'm just gonna fix my lighting.
Yeah, go for it. Dan, thank you very much for being, and I love how your assistant is so super mega professional. I'm sorry I haven't sent you the questions. I just wanted to make it a little bit more kind of like real and impro. If you prepare, you don't need to prepare anything, man.
Yeah, no, it's just part of a system.
So. I know. That's why, and how important is people around us helping us how to make things like so much easier, isn't it? Well, go for it. How do you, is she next, your assistant is next to you in the same office, is somewhere far away?
No, my whole team is distributed. So like I've built every company, all my investments, all distributed teams. That way I can travel and it doesn't change anything. But the difference is they're dedicated. So like Danielle works exclusively for me. And I'm a systems guy. So I have like crazy playbooks for everything I do. So it's kind of a well-oiled machine at this point, but it's the only way. I mean, I just wouldn't be able to do all this stuff if I didn't have a team supporting me.
I love, and you know, we have a Daniela in the office we call Kat. Kat is also in Argentina, and it's funny because both assistants has talked to each other with our own email, which I think it's beautiful.
That's the way it should be, man. We shouldn't be coordinating schedules. We should just let the professionals. One of my mentors said to me once, he said, there's a reason why they're called exec assistants, because they earn that title, because literally they run the business, right? Like my Danielle, for me, she pretty much runs all communication and then surfaces things that need my specific attention. But yeah, there's a reason why they're called an exec assistant for sure.
I love it. And I think it wouldn't be possible from you, from Danielle, which I'm very thankful, and also from Kat, very thankful for both to help us make sure this is being run. Well, I'm going to present you, Dan, because you're just one of those who's been helping a lot of CEOs to be where they are now. And I know some of them, like you've been helping Estelle and a few others, but Dan Martell has been around for more than 20 years. He got 3 exits, plus 4 investments, and he's been working for Hotsuite, Close, Udemy, and many other companies. I like one of these podcasts that he's doing, which is Escape Velocity, which is 100% recommendable because he does a little bit like me, but one-to-one, which is I think is something that I like to work on. Plus he has the Growth Stacking Show in YouTube. Please, everyone, Dan is not getting paid for being here today. Make sure you follow Dan Martell on YouTube and get subscribed. Subscribe button is very, very important. Plus the SaaS Academy. It will be amazing for everyone. Please go to the SaaS Academy from Dan Martell and register, and you're going to get a lot of value emails, and you're going to see how he does the things. Also, he's proud father of 2 amazing guys, and I think he's one of the reasons why he's doing all this work for them, a little bit of when they grow up, they can see. Dan, thank you very much for being a growth marketing and outbound, and let's roll the show, man. Thank you very much.
Gerard, my pleasure, man. Appreciate you having me on here.
Dan, it's just, I don't know if just go straight to the amazing, like hard questions, or just like a little bit how, I know how you started, but one question that I was amazed that you shared is, how did you start programming?
Yeah, it's an interesting story. I'll give you the short version. You know, like many entrepreneurs, I think that we typically have grown around chaos, and it's why entrepreneurs are so great at building and creating, is because we're okay with dealing with uncertainty, right? And uncertainty is really, that's the, you know, when I look at the highest performing founders out there, as I studied them, you know, their ability to deal with, you know, like unknowing uncertainty and moving forward is what makes them unique. And, you know, my story is no different. As a child, I grew up in a pretty challenging environment. My mom was an alcoholic. My dad was in sales and always on the road. And I ended up getting diagnosed with ADHD when I was 11 and put on medication. And, you know, I just had a lot of challenges in my environment. When I was 13, I got introduced to drugs, and pretty much my life spiraled out of control. Right to the point where when I was 17, I found myself in a high-speed chase, drunk and high, being chased by police. And I ended up crashing into the side of a house, and I pulled a gun out that was in a handbag next to me to try to take my life and let the police do their job. And for whatever reason, the handgun got stuck. And that was a really defining moment. I woke up sober the next day in a jail cell, wondering what my life was going to look like. And it was from that point where I just realized if somebody was looking out for me, I didn't believe in God at the time, or, you know, I just figured if somebody was, you know, looking out for me, if they could just help me get through it, I would do what I could to kind of be a good person, I guess, like just not a bad person in society. And I ended up in jail for 6 months, worked on myself, met some incredible people. And after that, I got released to a rehab center called Portage. And I spent 11 months in therapy, you know, working on myself, rebuilding the trust that I'd lost with my parents, you know, working on my emotional intelligence, just trying to understand, you know, what made me tick and some of my anger issues, et cetera. And it was at the end of that program where I was helping Rick, one of the maintenance guys, clean out a cabin in one of the rooms, because it was an old church camp. One of the rooms, there was this old computer, this 486 computer with a yellow book on Java programming sitting next to it. And I just opened up the book. I'd never touched a computer prior to that. And, you know, I always thought that computer programming was like this complicated, you know, math type stuff. And I read the book, and if anybody's looked at JavaScript, I mean, it's pretty much, you know, it reads like English. And I booted up the computer and followed the instructions in chapter 1. And by the end of it, I got the computer to say, "Hello world."
Hello world, man. Hello world.
Hello
And
world.
Java saved your life. I think it's a beautiful story, and you know where you are now is just influencing so many, not just SaaS founders, but also anyone who is in the digital world, and everyone from, you know, from small to big. Congratulations, man. I think just doing such a beautiful job, and the story is you're so brave to share it to everyone, because I don't think no one sometimes we forget where we're coming from, and I think that makes you.
Well, Jordan, it took me, let's just be honest, so it did take me 15 years to feel comfortable enough to share it. I think that was way too long, because it's really a big part of my life. Even today, I spend a lot of time with at-risk youth, and I visit Portage 3 or 4 times a year. If anybody's interested, they can Google Portage and Dan Martell on my YouTube, or on YouTube, and you'll find a video I did recently of visiting the kids and kind of my talk there. But yeah, it's a big part of my life. So it took a while.
Congratulations, Dan. Also, just going into one of the business that you built was Clarity FM, which is, I think it was acquired a few years ago, and the job was a little bit of helping CEOs and founders to get tips from others. Is that correct? And it was
Clarity is, if LinkedIn had a call button, that's the kind of way I thought about it, is that there's all these brilliant people in the world. And if there was a way for me just to book time with them and pay them for that, I just think that progress and success would be a lot faster. Because for me, I'm the kind of guy that I don't lack motivation and drive. Sometimes I just need to know, you know, what does normal look like? What should the next steps be? I've always had a business coach in my life, and Clarity was my way to kind of solve that problem for the rest of the world, because I got really good at reaching out to people cold. But that's, you know, it takes a certain type of personality, I think, to pull that off. And I wanted to unlock all the incredible talent that I met in San Francisco living there, and make it available for the rest of the world. And that was Clarity.
I love it. How long it took you, just to put myself in context, how long it took you since you had the idea, having 10 customers, 100, until you sold it? Just for, if you could make like 1 minute picture.
Yeah. I mean, so there's always the origin story, which is short and cute and fun. And, and then there's the real story.
That's the one we look for. Go for it.
Yeah. So the first version of Clarity was just a tool that I built for myself to talk with founders that were reaching out. I'm Canadian. I was born in Canada. I love to help people, and I just couldn't find an efficient way to reply to all these emails after I sold my previous company called Flowtown. So I've done 3 companies.
Right? Wonderful. You've already gone. Wait, that's good.
Yeah. And so I built this tool. It was like a call list. So people could just add themselves to the call list, and it would like allow me to call them and kind of connect. And then there was this moment where I went on the roof of my condo and I tweeted out my link for calls. And I said, if you need advice from me, let's connect. And I just sat there for 3 hours, because the way it worked is it would build a list and it would just like leave me on the phone and just like keep calling people, like robo-dialing, like calling Gerard about, and whatever you wrote, and then it would connect us. As soon as you hung up, I'd stay on the call. It would connect to the next person. So 3 hours later, that was the epiphany where I realized if I could unlock all this knowledge, looking over the city of San Francisco, if I could make all these brilliant people available to the rest of the world, I think that would be a really great problem to solve. The truth is I had an unfair advantage, right? I had already built 2 companies at that point. I'm a very social person. I'm an extreme extrovert. I organize dinners, events. I've been doing that for a long time. So getting the supply side, the Eric Rieses of the world, and, Rand Fishkin from SEO Moz, like pretty much the who's who in SaaS, Neil Patel on SEO, that was already there. So really it was just about leveraging that. So it wasn't hard to get my first, 10 customers, 100 customers, because I had an unfair advantage. But that's when I look at entrepreneurs that I invest in, I'm always looking for, product founder fit, right? People talk about product market fit. What about product founder fit in regards to, is this founder the right person to solve this problem? And for me, Clarity was definitely, the thing that I felt I could bring to the world that was unique based on my background. Scaling that was the hard part, getting to 100,000 calls and customers. But it was a super fun ride, and scaled it to over 50,000 experts on the supply side in about 2 years period, and then got acquired. So and it continues to, like, it keeps growing. I was actually talking to the CEO that bought us the other day, Will, and he was laughing at how marketplaces, if you build them right, they just snowball.
I love the way. And what do you think was one of the secrets that helped you to grow? Was it, the question is, inbound, outbound, or yourself, like as a CEO, just going out there and doing the extrovert stuff?
Yeah, I think the unfair advantage stuff is things you can do like early, but it's only going to get you so far. The growth hack that we solved that you're going to appreciate, because it's very outbound focused, is we realized a few things. One, if we couldn't get the experts to promote their profiles, the business wasn't going to work. Like, we were never going to be able to spend to acquire calls and send them to a marketplace, because, it's just too hard to like monitor the quality. It wasn't going to be an Uber, right? It's not like a commodity where it's a transportation system, right? It's, you need to trust who you're looking at in regards to giving you advice. So we knew if it wasn't promoted from the experts, it wasn't going to work. So we had to figure that problem out, which we solved. But then the second one was getting enough experts based on the demand coming from the marketplace. And the way we did this, and it took us a while to figure this out, was eventually we settled on SlideShare. So we settled on SlideShare because SlideShare is a proof of credibility. If you have a slide on a topic that's got views, it shows that you're an expert. And on the last slide of every presentation is their email address, typically. So we'd get requests on Clarity for expert advice required, and then we'd go to SlideShare and find the experts and connect them through our platform.
Love it.
That was how we scaled it.
That's easy. Sometimes the best hacks are when you like put the one by one and then you can automate it. And is this one of the reasons why you got, was it first, 1,000 people you got thanks to SlideShare? 3K?
Oh, we ended up getting to 50,000 experts
Okay.
using SlideShare.
Okay, you got 50K thanks to the SlideShare hack.
Yeah, no, that was the way we brought on demand. I mean, there's a certain level of flywheel once you get awareness that it's just going to take off on its own, and organically people are signing up. But there is an application process to be an expert on Clarity. But the big thing, like you said, was we started manually doing that, then built automation, and now it's a fully automated system.
And I love it now. Just moving on what you're doing now, which is the SaaS Academy, the Escape Velocity, and the Growth Stacking Show. Is it anything else that you're doing that I don't know or that I should be?
Oh, yeah. I mean, so my life, I break it down into 3 parts. One of it is essentially my coaching. So I work with high-performing SaaS founders, CEOs. I'm an executive coach. So that's SaaS Academy content, like that's all that world. Then I have my investment portfolio. So I'm an investor. I say 40, but it's a lot more. Only because now I'm an investor in, I'm an LP in funds. I've got a growth fund. I've got a buy hold fund. So I buy SaaS companies. I lend capital for growth equity, kind of like lighter capital. So I've got a whole investment side of my life. And then the third is my nonprofit called Creators, which is I help at-risk youth build their confidence through building businesses. So that's my nonprofit charity kind of work that I do. So yeah, within each one of those, there's kind of different things. But yeah, like my day-to-day is helping founders scale and get what I call as a perfect exit. You know, I just had a client yesterday message me. They just signed a letter of intent for 15 million exit. 2 years ago when we started working together, they were on the brink of failure. I actually shared this in my Instagram stories yesterday. And they were only doing 1.5 million in ARR. So it was an incredible multiple from a strategic, but it's game changing for them. I mean, these are 2 incredible founders that are going to have a different life. And only because they trusted in me to work with them to build the infrastructure and the growth engine to get to that point. So that's the work I love to do. You know, like it's kind of at the end of the day, you know, yes, you know, I like making money and there's an economic engine behind all this. But you know, when I lay my head to rest and it's my last breath, I want to know that I changed the world, or I left an impact on the world in my way. It wasn't doing what I know how, which is, you know, software.
I love, and I'm just for helping everyone is that does Dan Martell has any time has like, oh, I cannot do it. Shall I do it? Shall I not do it? Because obviously everyone sees your amazing part, which is just like founder, all the things that you think. But how does Dan Martell deals with, oh, I think I cannot make it, or I think I cannot do it? Does it happen to you? And what do you do in these times?
Yeah. I mean, so what you learn in business is it's the competence loop. So if I could draw like an infinity circle, and you have confidence on one side and competence is skill on the left side. I think in the early days, you have no confidence because you don't have any skill yet, right? So it's hard to build competence and then eventually come back on the confidence side. And what I had to learn to do, because I had no skill when I started, I mean, I taught myself programming, then I had to teach myself business. I failed my first 2 companies. So when people are like, oh my God, Dan, you're so successful, everything you touch turns gold. No, that's so like not true whatsoever. But I just kept at it, and I just looked for the small wins. So what I'm a big fan of is having a big vision for our life, but then breaking it down into weekly actions, monthly actions, quarterly. So big fan. I have a whole framework called the company OS, the company operating system, which is how to think about meetings, rhythms, routines, schedules, performance measurement around your business, right? And the whole idea is if you look for those daily actions and weekly actions to build that competence and skill set, then it'll bring confidence. So what I've discovered is, do I have those setbacks? Yes. Do they mess me up for 3 or 4 days? Not anymore. You know, so like Gerard, that's the difference is, you know, I could get an email today saying, you know, I owe $50 million in back taxes. And I would just be like, that's okay. Like, it's not like, I think what happens is you just learn, like people always say, I wish I didn't have problems. And what I say to my clients is, don't wish you didn't have problems. Wish that you were better. Wish that you were capable of dealing with more, because the truth is, if you want to scale and build $100 million a year company, your problems go from $10 problems to $100 problems to $1,000 problems to $10,000 problems to $50,000 problems. That makes sense?
Yes, it does. And I love the example that you did. This some weeks ago, it happened to me that they said, Jared, you own X amount of dollars to the government. It's like a few years ago, I would gone in depression, but today it's like, yeah, that's fucking man. It's all right. I'll pay it.
I'll get through it. Yeah. You build the confidence around knowing how to deal with tough problems. That brings the confidence to not get you off. Like people, I just seen so many people allow their emotional state to get rocked over things that really are not A, in their control, or B, that big of an issue. And, you know, I remember seeing once Oprah, you know, it's a funny reference, but Oprah, you know, she was getting sued for $1 billion from like the Mad Cow Association, or it was around the Mad Cow thing, you know, so it was like Farmers Association for defamation of meat or whatever. And her thing, when somebody asked her, like, how do you deal with being sued for $1 billion? And she just said, I'm just grateful that I'm the kind of person that can be sued for $1 billion.
Woohoo! And that's it, man.
So like when we're dealing with a bill from the government, like if you've ever read the book Shoe Dog by Nike, Phil Knight from Nike, everybody should read it. It's one of my favorite business books. In it, he gets an email from the government saying that he owes, well, it was a letter back in the day, saying that he owed $20 million when their revenues were only like $3 million a year, right? So instead of saying, screw this and like shutting down the business and going into depression, he said, we're going to pay it off and keep moving forward. And that's why I think Nike's become the company it is.
I love it, Dan. And this is one thing that happens to us here in FindThatLead is like, oh, guys, you are fucking breaking any law about spam. It's like, guys, we're here to help people to find the email and they can do whatever the fuck they want. And it could be it's like scary sometimes. It's like, yeah, well, you're giving emails. And it's something like, no, I'm just doing a higher thing, you know, helping people to connect. I love this emotional thing. And in the end of the day, we are 100% emotions, we're 100% people, and, you know, machines are behind. Dan, I think one of the things that I believe help you to change is your family. How do you run family and business and all that investments? I think if you can share it, that would be awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. I guess what I'll say is if somebody's struggling with their spouse, right, especially the men on the call, because I can only speak from my experience, there's a great book called by David Data. It is called it's The Man. What is it called? Let me just pull it up because it'll explain everything way better than I'm going to do it. The Way of the Superior Man. So read that because I just think it'll help you with the emotional challenge of scaling a company and being a great support partner for your family member. But the other things that we do as a couple, my wife and I, we're both entrepreneurs, is we essentially use the same concepts I apply to my business for our family life, right? So for example, we have a weekly meeting called the family meeting where we sit down, we have an agenda, we review our travel schedule, we review ourselves, how am I showing up for a husband, for her, and vice versa. We look at some of our quarterly goals that we've set for each other, personal, professional. And it's just really a place every week for us to synchronize. Every quarter we go away for a disconnected retreat, which means, like I think in 2 weeks, we're actually going away for a weekend with no devices, just her and I to kind of reconnect. So we disconnect to reconnect. And I think the biggest thing is just, understand that just because you're driven and you're obsessed and you want to win in life, if other people don't want to do that, that's okay. And you shouldn't get frustrated with them. So I think a lot of times entrepreneurs might be on this growth journey, right? They're learning things, they're doing things, they want to be better, they're investing in themselves, they're reading personal development books and all this stuff. And they have a partner in their life and that person's still at the bottom of the mountain, right? They're making this journey up the mountain and they're stuck at the bottom. And we have this tendency to want to reach down and pull, right? We want to reach down and pull them up the mountain and we get frustrated. And what I would suggest instead, and I got this from one of my mentors that when it comes to relationship, a guy named Philip McKernan, he recommends to instead support them. So supporting looks like this, not like this, okay? This is your hand stretched out and them sitting on top of it. so that you support them, but you're not pulling, right? Because when you pull, there's no light that can get in there, right? There's no light inside of there. There's no light. There's light when I do this and your partner's there. There's no light when I do a fist and I squeeze on them to pull them up the mountain. And that's usually where people feel disconnected or they're growing apart. So, I mean, there's a whole lot I can unpack there because I've had to do a lot of this work for myself. But to me, if you get it right, I think this is the funny part, because I coach a lot of my clients on this, is that they always say they're doing it for their family, but their family never asks them to work 100 hours a week.
Well, we're selfish sometimes, aren't we?
It's selfish, and I don't think people realize it. They're using the story of I'm doing this for my family, and it's not true because your family's not asking that of you. So you have to figure out how to do that. So, I mean, just like a little principle. So like one of them is if anything I make a decision on, I'm going to change my schedule from what it normally is, I have to talk to my wife about it so that she's aware and we make the decision together. So it's not fair for me to say, hey, I'm going to double my business next quarter. I'm going to hire 15 people. And all of a sudden now I'm working 100 hours a week when I normally would pick up my kids every night at daycare, right? Having those kind of conversations is a requirement, right? So like I have these 3 rules that I look at. Number 1, business fundamentals. Number 2, commitment to others. And number 3, success habits. So those are 3 things that I never break no matter what. So you need to make sure you're doing the right business stuff, the business fundamentals, looking at your numbers, managing your team, doing your one-on-ones. Success habits, that's your daily routine, your health, your family, etc. And commitment to others are things that you've committed to other people, the way you're going to show up, etc. And if those 3 things are good, then you can take on something new. But if they're not, then you gotta wait, or you gotta fix that.
I love, Dan, the way you talk, and obviously I believe you spend so much money in yourself and self-coaching plus other. How important is self-coaching?
Million plus, easily, million plus, just exactly. On me.
Yeah, and I think you're selling, helping people, and Grant Cardone also say about how much you have to invest in you. How much do you think a business or any business successful has, let me put this question correct, how much do you think, how much impact has on a CEO, how much they invest on their own knowledge or expertise?
Well, this is the funny part is, last summer I bought a new McLaren, those supercars.
Woohoo, man, I want a picture. Upload it on Instagram, man. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I don't post a whole lot about it, but the thing that's funny is that, people would stop me at gas stations, coffee shops, and they'd go how did you get that? And I would say, I mean, the truth is this is the car the books bought. And they'd be like, what do you mean the books bought? And I go, this is the reality. You're looking at a guy that taught himself how to code buying books, learned business buying books, learned about relationships buying books. Literally my life, I mean, there's 2 libraries there, and then my whole house, literally steps, bedroom, sunroom, my whole house is littered with books. Right. And those are the physical ones. I now only read on a Kindle, so I don't even buy most of the books I read. I've read over 1,000 business books. And the reason, and they go, how does a book help you buy that kind of car or have success? And I go, well, the truth is if you're here and you want to go there, you're at the bottom of the mountain, you want to get to the top of the mountain, you don't know today how to get to that top of the mountain. So you have 2 choices. You either take a couple steps and try to figure it out, or what I like to do is find somebody who's been to the top of the mountain, has written the map, has created the map, and will let you read the map, but it's going to take 6 to 8 hours investment of your time. And that's just to me, a no-brainer. So the way I look at it, and I work with a lot of at-risk youth that are just starting off. So people that are, still trying to make their first 100,000 or $1 million or whatever. My rule is if you don't have a business, save your money until you have 100,000 in the bank, right? So invest in yourself until you learn how to create value, create money. And once you have 100,000 in the bank, then you can start a business. Then you can, you learn more that way. And I just feel like it's a clear direction. So invest in yourself, learn how to create value at your job, doing side hustles, whatever, and then lean into the business, because then you'll have the skill to be more successful versus what a lot of people do. The truth is entrepreneurship for most people is hard, right? Most entrepreneurs, 90%, go sideways their whole life. Most people just read about all these successes, but they don't read about the 15 failures or the losing money, making money, losing money. I mean, it's just, that is the norm. And I just think it's because they haven't invested in themselves enough upfront to build the foundation to be able to deal with that level of, they haven't built a process for growth and success.
I love what you're saying. And well, I was with David Hensel a few weeks ago. I was like, man, I'm doing okay, but you know, I'm doing shit if I compare to X and Y. It's like, Jared, how well have you been doing on the last year? Well, if I compare to myself, it's like 10x, man. I fucking had like 10x of what I was doing last year. It's like, then compare to yourself of 6 months ago, 1 year ago. And obviously he's just like been helping to recommend books, and so important, like self-helping you. Reading is just like one of the key things, and super important for everyone. Dan, if anyone wants to join with being part of that you teach them, how does it work? Do I go to your website that register? Do I send you an email?
Yeah.
And
so one thing I just want to, so I only work with B2B SaaS founders. I've got different programs based on if they're just starting off versus already revenue generating versus, you know, I coached ClickFunnels at 160 million ARR. So, you know, I'm fortunate and blessed to work with some incredible entrepreneurs. So if you're interested, just go to danmartell.com. There's a Let's Talk button. They can click that and then fill out the application, and then they'll get on a call with one of my scale specialists. And they're there really to just help you get clear, figure out what's missing in your business. What do you need most? Build an action plan. And if there's a way that I can help and it's a fit, we can talk about that, but it's not a sales call. It's 100% for the entrepreneur. And that's why I have 2 guys full-time just talking to people, because I'm not going to stop putting my content out there. And the plus side of that, I guess, is that I get a lot of inbound requests for people that want to chat. And I just, you know, unfortunately, I've got a family and existing members, but yeah, feel free to reach out. I'd love to connect you with Wendell and Michael on my team, and they can see if I might be able to help. It'd be an honor. I mean, Jared, I love to do what I do. It is the most rewarding work I can think of. It's in my zone of genius. And I'm just really grateful every day to have the chance to work with I mean, honestly, the founders I work with, they inspire me, you know, because like you said, it's not the size of the business, it's where they were before. So watching somebody go that I knew was more introverted and didn't know how to do marketing, didn't know how to do sales or whatever, to then building a business and having a great marketing system and a sales process and grow themselves and their business. I think that's the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah, and also how much you can help them. Like someone can come to you with a few reasons, and then you can change their life. I think that's such a powerful. Plus, you've been doing it yourself. You're not one of those guys that haven't done it. I think it's really.
No, I mean that's the thing is every day I operate in SaaS companies. Like I see more through my coaching and through my investment firm and like actively investing in helping the operators. I don't know there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that actually have seen that many. I mean, just like Udemy, Intercom, Hootsuite, as you mentioned at the beginning of the show, like these are billion-dollar brands that I was there at day zero and helped them scale. And that was 10 years ago. Like now I do that every day with the clients I work with. And it's just pattern recognition. You know what I mean? Like I can look at a business and thin slice it and go, oh, well, this thing here is what you're missing. And that's the leverage that you're going to need to get to the next level. And it's only because of the amount of time I put into it.
Well, that's also risky then, because I'm very sure sometimes you see like, oh, this business is not going to go anywhere, and then they boom it. Does it also happens?
Yeah, when people ask me like, what do you think of our business or idea? To me, it's never been about the idea. Like all I know is there's a process for success. So I'm pumped because like I've never worked with a client and said, oh, that's a bad idea, right? Because in any business, you'll come up with things that are not the best idea, but in that seed, there's an opportunity. And that's what I'm really good at saying, okay, this works great. Here's where we're going. Let's try this to get to this level. So businesses always morph over time. And it's really about a process for how to do that strategically that I think is important.
That's amazing. Someone is also helping because my computer was running out of battery. Thanks, Pau. And Just to finish up a little thing, what is Dan Martell's daily routine?
My daily routine, wake up every day at 5.
Just for everyone to say, it's 7 o'clock or 7:30, I think, where you are, and you're like super awakened, man. You seem like 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
I've been up since 5. So I wake up every day at 5. Okay. I have a morning routine till 6 a.m. that's got like 6 steps in it. So I go meditation, visualization, physical movement, gratitude, journaling. I actually use 5-minute journal. If you guys do not know the 5-minute journal, go buy this. It'll change your life. So 5-minute journal, it's amazing. So I have a very structured morning routine, and then 6 to 8, I do my most creative work. So I do a lot of writing and creating and designing. Between 6 to 8, I eat breakfast every morning with my wife at 8 a.m. 8:30, I get back to work. More me time. I don't do my first call until the afternoon at 1:30. So 8:30 to noon is more creative work, more strategic thinking, what I call thinking time. And then noon, I work out every day. So right now I'm training for an Ironman. So a lot of time on my bike, running and swimming. But normally I'm a CrossFitter. So I do CrossFit pretty much. If I'm not training for an event, I'm doing CrossFit every day at lunch. 1:30 to 5 is phone call times. I pick up my kids at 5 every day for daycare. From daycare, we usually do something fun every night. I put them to bed. I read to them, homework, all that fun stuff. And then at 7:30 to kind of 9 is time with my wife. And that's pretty much my day, weekdays, weekends, etc. So yeah, I just have a very good structure for how I work. Some people like to work later, and that's cool too. I think it's really important to figure out what works best for you and just dial it in and kind of tweak it. So I call that block time. So looking at your calendar in designing the energetic flow. So a lot of people talk about productivity, but they don't think about energy management. They just think about like time management. I just don't believe in time management. Like there's a reason I don't do phone calls. And then like these calls here, Jared, I only do those once every 2 months, and that's my full day. So the whole day today.
Like ages ago, man, which I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, because I only do them every 2 months. And then on that day, on today, it's called the podcast day. I do, 12 podcast interviews in one day, and it's fun because I love talking to people. So this is one of 12 today.
I'm writing everything just to let you know that. I'm not watching, I'm just like creating notes. Sorry, I'm not looking at you, man, because I'm just like, because everything, we're going to be posting everything on the blog site and also Facebook, and we're going to be able to share what we will learn from you and also the books. But make sure, please, everyone listening, that follow Dan Martell. Also, you help me, man. Where they need to follow you?
Well, so there's a few fun places. If you want to kind of connect with me, subscribe to my newsletter. That's me. If you reply to that email, I'll get those emails. So subscribe to my newsletter. It's on my website. 2, if you want to learn from me, YouTube, as Gerard mentioned, I've got my growth stacking show, which is me teaching everything I've learned. Literally my job in life is every week for the last 300 weeks. I haven't missed a week. I share a new strategy every Monday. Every second Thursday, we release the Escape Velocity Show, where I've interviewed founders like Toby at Shopify and David Hauser and Nathan Latka and Nathan Barry from ConvertKit. Literally the top SaaS founders. We met at SaaS Talk, Gerard. So, the team there. And then if you want the more Dan Martell side of things, like my life, go follow me on Instagram, my stories, and more recently, TikTok. So I've been having a lot of fun with
you tell me about TikTok.
I'm on TikTok, bro. Look at this. This is last night with my kids.
I've been doing a TikTok. You know what? It's crazy how much engagement. It's like I've got 28,000. Well, mine is a little bit porn nipple showing with my girlfriend. TikTok on a call with Gerard doing a podcast. You gotta be on TikTok. What do you think? Man. Tell them. Yes, TikTok and show your nipples. Seriously, man. I show my nipples and I got like 28K views with my girlfriend. Oh my gosh. Show your nipples and you will get views. This is great. Yeah. Well, it's kind of like I'm doing it at the office, okay? You know, I just wrote a short post on TikTok hashtags works like a dream. And this is it's how it should be Instagram was, or Facebook, or YouTube. But seriously, everyone should be testing TikTok and how it's working, because the hashtags works like really, they work, you know?
Yeah, I told me and my team, we're doing daily TikToks to just play with it, test it, figure it out. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think a lot of people, okay, I'm at the scale where I can do that because I have a team, right? Like, I have a designer, a videographer, etc. Just, if you're not doing social media, just pick one channel and go deep on it. And if you don't have one, start with TikTok, because it's a good one right now.
Well done. Let me tell you, today with Fiverr, Upwork, just get some amazing guys on wherever you are in the world, pay them like $100, stop going for lunch or dinner, or sell your fucking mobile, and then you have some social media. And I also say LinkedIn, Lyft. I call them Lyft, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. At least, come on, man. It doesn't take that much, and probably cost you $100 to do 100 to rent someone who can do you amazing thing. Sorry to tell you, yes, everyone should be in everywhere if they're serious about the business. Isn't it true?
I love that, man. Lyft. I never heard that before. I'm using that.
Yeah, because it's mine. It's homemade. LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can take it and give me some.
It should be Lyft with 2 T's, though. Twitter and TikTok.
I love it, man. We need to do that again very soon. Hopefully to see you on SaaS Talk. Hopefully.
I'll be there. SaaS Talk in October, November. I'll be there. People should go.
When is the next event where people can see you live?
The next one I am speaking at, I think, is in February in Ontario. So I'm doing a keynote at an accelerator. The bigger ones would be, I don't do a lot of speaking, maybe about 5 a year. Working remote, that's a great event if you have a distributed team and you want. Yeah, so Liam is one of my coaching clients from Time Doctor.
We had him on the show. He's just amazing. I also was having lunch with him at SaaS Talk.
Yeah, so working remote in Austin, I think, is in April, maybe March or something like that. SaaS Talk in Dublin. And then I may speak in.
Are you going to SaaS TR?
No, it's too big for me. Like, it sounds weird, but it's more executives. I only speak to founders. I want to speak to founders. I'd rather 150 people at an event like a microconf, or even Recur in Boston with Patrick Campbell. That's a great event for SaaS founders. Yeah, so that's my style.
I love it. I think we could go for edges. We'll have to let you go. Dan, thank you very much. I really enjoyed it, and hopefully to see you soon. Where actually are you based? Just for me.
So Canada is where I live and pay taxes, and then San Diego is where I spend my winters.
Okay, that's wonderful to know. Thank you very much, Dan. Hopefully to see you soon. I will send you the link just for you, and I will follow now you on TikTok and try not to show my nipples.
No, let's do it, man. Let's go viral. We'll see you there, Jared.
Man. Thank you very much. Best wishes to see you soon. Thank you. Bye.